In this video, we're going to walk through how to use the RGraph library. It's the last of the options that were suggested in instructions. And this one's a little different than the others. It's got a little more complexity. It's one of the older JavaScript libraries for doing charting, but it's actually very feature-rich and you can do a lot of different things with it. And so let's go and get started. So here's the RGraph website, which we can download things. Now, in our RGraph, in this file, which I've actually just downloaded from this chart.html, and then in another video we talked about how we added tables. And so I've already added this table here. We could run this in Chrome, and we could see that we've already added this nice little table here. But one of the other things that I've added is I've already added these links to be able to use the different JavaScript libraries. Now for this example, we're going to be using RGraph, and so we're not going to need, for example, this one on HiCharts and chart.js and MD Bootstrap and Google Charts, all of these that are commented out. We won't actually need these. Now most of the JavaScript libraries are built on jQuery, so we're going to leave jQuery in there. Now for RGraph, now this one's just a little label here, but we've uncommented out all of these script tags. And so I'm going to remove the comment so that all of these will be downloaded when they're needed. Now there's a lot of libraries here, there's a lot of files, and I've already posted these. These are actually available on my web space so that you don't have to upload them to yours. You can if you want to, but I would just recommend using these. And there's a lot of things. For example, I think we're going to probably build a bar chart because I have done that for some of the other videos, and so we'll need this bar for sure. And then we'll definitely need the core JavaScript file for charts. And we probably will need a few of these others as well, in fact, including context and some of these others. Now, many of these, like waterfall and scatter and pi and odometer and line and horizontal bar, we probably won't need these ones. And so after we're done, maybe we'll delete some of these and see if it breaks anything. And if we don't need them, we won't load them in. But for now, we'll just leave them all in. Now if we go to RGraph, one of the first things we'll go to is the documentation, and there's a nice little explanation for implementing RGraph, and in particular how to get started with RGraph. And so if you read through this, one of the first things to do is to put all of these libraries in the head of your document, which is what we've done. Now the second thing is we need to go and we need to add a canvas element to our page. So what I'll do is I'm going to put a canvas element down here. I'm going to put it right below the table here. We'll add a little blank paragraph, and then below that we'll add a nice little canvas element. That's where the JavaScript library is actually going to draw on it. You notice that the canvas element has an ID of CVS, which was the, just refers to the canvas there. We'll come back to that in a minute. So then we're going to go in and draw our chart. There's some sample code here for a bar graph, but I think I'm going to go back to our examples and look at a bar chart. So here's some nice little bar charts, and we can see some demos, and let's go to the documentation for bar charts. And there's some nice little code here. I'm going to take this code in between the script tags. Whoops. And I'm going to go up to my section up here where I've got this extra script tag where it says add any modified JavaScript here. And I'm going to put that code in there. You'll notice that the ID here is also CVS, and that needs to match. So let's go and see. I don't think there's going to be much here, but let's go and save this and run it. Let's see if it will work. Alright, so when I refresh this page, now we've got a chart here that will function. So that's nice. It's not really very pretty, but it'll work. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and start modifying this data here. So for example, I'm just going to put the root beer, the means of the tasting data in here, and then I'm going to add in the labels for the axis right here. I'm going to pause the video and do that so that you don't need to sit me watching me type. Alright, so I'm done typing these in here. And if we go and save this and then refresh it, one thing that happens is sometimes it doesn't actually work. And as it turns out, that the RGraph library kind of likes this script to be down after. So I'm going to copy after the canvas. So I'm going to copy and or cut and paste it so that it's down. And the same script just is right after the canvas element. And if we refresh that, hopefully then we'll get a page. Now, I don't know that I love all of the colors in here, and I certainly don't love that I can't see all of the options and all of these. So RGraph has a ton of ways to format things. And so we're going to go to the documentation, and we will start looking through how do we change some of these labels, how do we change the axes, and adjust these different properties. Alright, so I don't really love how these are all kind of squished together. So the thing that I'm going to change on this one is I'm going to go and I'm actually just going to stretch this one out. Now I could try to fuss with this label, but in RGraph some of these things become a little bit tricky to do. So I'm just going to go over to my canvas width, and I'm just going to double the canvas width, save that and refresh it. So now our bar chart just becomes much wider, and that looks okay to me. I can read all of the labels here. I could go through and I could change the color here. Maybe instead of that, maybe I want a nice Sac State green. And then we can go and view this and make any adjustments that we need to, add a title, add anything else we want to add. There's tons of documentation on the RGraph website for all of the things that you might want to change. So with here's our documentation, and there's just example after example for different, here's 450 different examples for doing various different things. We can do all sorts of different charts and expand in that. This one requires jQuery. Do all sorts of fun things with this. For example, if we wanted to, instead of just draw, if we wanted to expand it, why don't we add this one in, see if it will work for us. So let's bounce that one, see if it will go. There we go, nice little bounce in there. So we can play around with it, look at the documentation and fuss with it, but I think that will work for now for this chart. So that's RGraph.